What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Meran podcast. Today, my guest is Brady Perron. Brady is an ex-pro skier turned filmmaker who has been putting out incredible work in the skiing realm. Since his 2016 debut working with Henrik, Harlaut, and Phil Casabon on their movie Be Inspired, he has won 2 X Games gold medals, has worked on projects with legends like Jossi Wells, Tanner Hall, and Jake Mageau, and with brands like Armada Skis, Monster Energy, and the North Face. Brady had a unique style while skiing, and he definitely brought it to his filming, editing, and directing. It was a pleasure to talk skiing, filmmaking, and a bunch of other stuff with him earlier this season. He's been an inspiration to me on the filmmaking side of things in the past few years, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Big thanks to this episode's sponsors, Axis Board Shop and Planks Clothing. Also, big shout out to the patrons on Patreon, Will Cameron and Raf Diaz. Let's go. So, Mr. Brady Perron, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, sir. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming on. I'm stoked to have a legendary skier, filmmaker, and all-around inspiring guy on the podcast.
Thanks, man. Big words. Let's chat it up.
What's going on with you these days? You told me before recording that you're chilling in Utah. What's been the season like for you up to now?
Yeah, I came to Utah in December and just linked up with Jake Mageau. We shot Welcome to 686. He just signed with them, which is like all kind of under the Level 1 umbrella, which is great. And obviously all due to Jake's like crazy innovation and athleticism. And so I came out here. We shot that. Then I went back east, worked for a little bit, caught up with my folks and my wife for the holidays, and then I came back out, and now we just got done with a week of shooting here in Utah, and we ran to Aspen quick, and Jake got a last minute invite to do Knuckle Huck and snuck in and got silver, so we're hyped.
Yeah.
Just here working for Jake and Level 1 and Armada, and gonna do some editing on the side, and all the above.
There's already a branching off I gotta do. That 686 video was super dope, but it left me hanging when I saw it. I was like, was that shot early season or late season? Because there were a couple of shots. There were like a decent amount of shots. And I was like, well, how did you guys manage to shoot that early in the season? Is that like how Utah works? Like you can shoot a whole video in October?
It was crazy, yeah. Also, like to Jake's, I think in general, it's special out here. We also, I think, did a decent job of like kind of making it look like there was a lot of snow. And yes, there was plenty. So yeah, it's like that, especially if you're Jake, then you can go get down. And we probably, in retrospect, should have just threw in a little bit of story that said, here's Jake early season just signing in, because I think that would have helped people understand like, damn, like this isn't some like archival footage from last year that he like got the kid on and filmed this little cut or whatever. So yeah, he crushed it.
I think there was a Rodeo 7 stale in there. And I was like, well, that got to be from last year. You can't have shot a booter that early.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Because for context, in Quebec, I think I shot my first street spot after Christmas and we were still skiing on rocks. Like there was half an inch on the ground. So I was like, Utah is, making me want to cry.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, and I think Utah got a ton of snow in like October, November, and then had a blowout as far as like just a drought recently. So yeah, we got it good enough for sure.
You're a guy that popped on everyone's radar as a filmer. Like everyone in the ski industry has known you for a long, long time as a skier, but you've popped on people's radar as a filmer, I think maybe 5 years ago. To me, 5 years ago, around then. And now it seems like you're one of the most in-demand guys in the industry. To me, like you've done videos with Tanner, with Phil, with Mageau, with Jossi. What's your life these days in terms of work in skiing versus outside of skiing? How do you go ahead to plan your season, let's say? When you're in the summer, like talking to ski friends saying like, hey, what's the projects you have going on this winter? I don't know, like how does it go about for you to be here in January and be like, yeah, okay, I'm working with Jake and with Armada and etc.
Damn. Should we just start? We could just start out with like some Henrik chatter. That's a pretty big deal for me, just because that changed my life in such a good way. Where he asked me to jump on board for a 2-year film with Phil, which was Be Inspired.
Mm.
So like that's how this happened. Beyond that, I also just like shot photos and shot video for years before that. And I think Henrik was like, I can kick it with this dude, since we had a good friendship already. And then that was like the start of it all. But yeah.
The first time I flashed about you being a filmer and like you impressed me was Phil's first real ski.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, there was a gap where I was like, where did he go from being a super stylish skier to being a super good cinematographer? So, and I didn't remember, or so you were behind the filming of Be Inspired.
Right. And if you want to chat about like schedule stuff, I don't really know how to explain that, but I can just give it a whirl. That's
Yeah.
a decent way to chat through. But yeah, I shot Phil and Henrik for Be Inspired with, like Les Gamins, like some Quebecers, some folks like Stojan, Emile Grenot, and in Sweden, a bunch of different people. But I kind of just tagged along for almost everything. Except, Phil jumped to Quebec for a month and shot a ton of crazy clips while Henrik and I were in Andorra or at Dutour or something. So yeah, that was incredible. Those years were wild. I was working like a 9 to 5 here in Salt Lake City, shooting like product videos in a studio, and like life wasn't bad, but it wasn't maybe heading where it did, where I did get to take on all these cool projects. But yeah, that's what it was.
So there's a big part due to Henrik being like, hey, Brady, you
Yeah.
want to hop on a project?
Yeah, I remember that call being like, no way, here we go. And I like was pretty easy. It was easy to like quit my job at that point. Like maybe I was going to head towards like some stable income, but I probably just missed the life, man. Like real talk. And I never, yeah, I got to like get mine in like a different way. And it was like set up in such a way that I could like experience all these new things, like Europe even. That was amazing. And then also like just got to watch the God like do his thing, and then obviously got real tight with Phil over those 2 years, which led to pretty much like a revival of I got to just like experience the craziest shit with Phil and Henrik. And
Because you're saying you were working a 9 to 5. Was there a time in there where you were like, I guess you were thinking of getting out of skiing because you were never the kind of guy who would go to the Olympics or X Games. You were more of a, style-centered skier, film skier. Was there a couple of years there where you were like kind of a in between, saying like leaving skiing for good, kind of?
Yeah, definitely. There's just no way to like afford that life, and I just wasn't marketable, and I was scared of that weekend warrior type shit. But I don't know, I was sitting okay. I had like a good group of friends, and everything was like working out. But it was pretty easy to jump aboard the Henrik offer, and that was just game over. Yeah, so like if you can imagine, I filmed like Quebec Seg of them skiing street together. I filmed like them skiing Mammoth together. If you can remember all those crazy grinds and combos, that was all me. That kind of stuff up in the mix. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else was in Be Inspired. A ton of backcountry clips. There's like crazy Henrik Dub 10.
So the callback to filming was 2015, I guess, because Be Inspired was 15, 16.
Yeah.
And then how did it roll after that?
I did that one. They cut it, which was great. And so I like was off the leash, and I don't know. I think I was probably like off the project in like in April or something in Andorra. And then I linked up with Henrik, and we filmed a few more clips in Hood. And then after that, Phil got healthy. We got in touch. I got hired by Spy to go on tour, this thing called Squash the Beef Tour. And I was just like the film guy, and I just made cuts for each stop. And then I like just pressed on Phil. I remember being like, dude, let's just go on tour, and you can show up for all the Spy pieces, and then in between the tour dates we can like shoot for a project, which was his Tempo. That was like crazy nice. And then after that it was like love, and we could talk about real ski, and I'm so glad he brought me on. And yeah, that was a crazy 2 years doing real ski, and 3 even. We tried to do 3, and then Phil got hurt, and then we called it off. And yeah, I think 2 was plenty, and he was hesitant to do 3, and we were like, well, what else is there to do? Let's just try and make something special anyways. And yeah, and then inevitably someone's going to get hurt doing this shit. So yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah. Do you think it's just a matter of when?
I don't know. At that level, man, it's like these street rails, these street spots, like hitting rails especially, I think is like really scary. Like I think it's a fun take to see. Like I love watching street rails, and it's never going to get like old to me. I think it is just like, it says something when you have like a pile of snow that's kind of soft and a wall ride above it. That's like a lot different there's no cheese grater stairs. There's no like skirting on the rail with the rail next to it type life with the legs coming down of the rail.
Yeah.
So, and that's like been on everybody's mind forever, hitting street rails. Like that's just like the scariest stuff. So like kind of like watching Mageau approach things, he's like, I'm cool with like, we hit a street rail this year and it was so sick actually to see him on one, but it's like, you feel like you're getting away with something big time, you know? I'm not like, don't hit it. I'm like, do whatever you want to do. Let's like keep like looking for spots, but that stuff is scary, man. Big time.
And now it's time for a first sponsor break. It's the end of the season, and Planks Clothing has got you covered. Planks' end of season sale has landed with up to 40% off ski wear. They've got great deals going on ski jackets, pants, accessories, streetwear, and more. The sale is going on while stocks last, so go on at planksclothing.com and check it out. Planks Clothing has been supporting dope athletes like Yuho and the Real Skiffy crew for years now, and I'm stoked to have them as a sponsor. Support companies that support skiing. Support Planks Clothing.
Well, I don't know if I'm getting older, but this year for me was it's been one of the most stressful, when I see people hitting stuff and I'm like, please don't get hurt. Like I don't want to have to deal with. I'm more stressed out when they're doing gaps.
Okay.
I don't know. When I see good rail skiers, I'm like, you're a cat. You're going to land on your feet. You're going to be good. When you're hitting a big gap, it's like a park jump. You just need to land a bit awkward and something can happen. Yeah. So I'm always like, I don't ask the guy, like, are you good, when they fall off a rail? Because I see them and I know they're probably good. But always when it's a gap, I'm like, are you good?
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. And like a lot of that stuff is just like a big gap to a flat eventually. So it's like gap to down rail and then flat. And then you're just like, ooh.
And anytime you get into winch territory, it's like, it doesn't take much error to go too fast. And if you go too fast or too slow, you get into pretty like consequential stuff.
Yeah, for real. We're like going to start up a winch maybe and try one soon. And we'll be definitely weary of that. Try to be. You know?
One of the guys I've been shooting with, he bought an electric winch. I don't know if you ever tried those with like the little remote.
You like it?
Dude, it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Word, yeah.
Like the battery is super long, they go super fast, and you just have your little like Nintendo controller with the.
Yeah, there's someone that's supposed to like that hit up Jake. I'm gonna seriously like, I'm no joke gonna hit him like right after this and be like, dude, will you follow up on that? Like, we have this like monster, you know, this gas powered like monster. It just takes up like all the room in the truck. Yeah, and then someone has offered it, like maybe from Finland or I forget where, maybe Sweden or something. But there was someone who was like, has a company that was like, we can just give you one. And I'm like,
dude, and if they give you one, and it goes in a backpack.
Oh like, my gosh, dude, you're killing me.
It's pretty heavy, but
yeah,
still,
no, that's nothing. Yeah, we have like Jake like ice fishes, so we have this like monster sled. You can imagine he pulls his gear onto the ice with. So it's like that kind of little backpack thrown in there with like my backpack. And just like lug that thing up a hill or into it or towards a street spot or something. That would be so easy. No joke. I'm going to like press on that on Jake or somebody, just like, or maybe I'll just try and figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about Phil, but might as well while we're talking about Jake. Tell me how that came along. You guys came out of left field with a super original cut with Freehand last year. How did that come about? Were you already friends with Jake? What was the situation behind that? And also maybe like what's the situation with Level One being like they seem like kind of a rap label, kind of hiring producers to make pieces on the side. Like what's the situation with that?
Yeah, so I think they just had to like adapt to the day and age, which means like you can't really make a DVD feature film with like everybody that you love with their sponsors, and then they kind of tore it down, and then they kind of are, I think, are just like rebuilding by producing and like having that like wing with Jake and Level One. They actually did a podcast with him and Oliver, which was great. And at the end, since Oliver mentioned he was going to go to school, they were like, "So what are you going to do, Jake?" He's like, "I don't know." And they were like, "Well, let's do something." And then I got word of that. And I think it was just going to be whoever could do it, kind of. And it was kind of like, I just felt like that's calling my name. Jake and I have been friends for a while. He's like kind of little bro. And then we like live in the same neighborhood in Salt Lake. And it's like, come on, let's get this thing together. So Connor at Level One, Berman, everybody helped out. We had like a nice deck and we made sure that everyone was taken care of. And Jake and I kind of just got carte blanche and could do whatever. And for us, that's it's like amazing to have that little bit of help and energy, and then for us to just do whatever we'd like. And it was kind of a weird year with like COVID and how we were going to handle everything, and if we were going to travel a lot, and also like just it kind of being more spur of the moment a little bit. And we just like hung out that summer, talked about things a lot, skated just outside my house, hanging a lot. And then when winter came, we were like, okay, let's get busy. And then we managed to make that cut, which I really like that cut. I think it's like I think it's just a nice balance, just because Jake like done did some crazy biz. And I think it's nice to see him in that package to contrast it, because I've said it before, like I wish I shot all that wild X Games stuff that Jake's done. But at the same time, I love that we got to do this, and I think they just like complement each other. And I think maybe I could say that Oliver feels pretty similar. He probably could be like, I wish I shot Freehand, kind of in the way of like, it just like looks like it feels like this with Jake. And then I'm like, damn, I wish I shot Jake to like dub 12 off the roof or whatever. Like,
it must be so nice to have that, how you said it, to have that liberty in terms of scope, saying like Level One is paying you. You have your goal is basically like come out with the deliverable is a video. Was there, like you have a lot of freedom as long as it ends up on YouTube, on Level One's YouTube in the fall, do what you got to do.
Yes.
Like, was there even like a time constraint of saying like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or it's just like whatever you end up with, do your best? And
I think it was like, know your value, know your time, enjoy it. And we like this stuff too much to like not do it. So and we just like live near each other. So there wasn't a lot behind that. It was, obviously there has to be something to show up for ON3P, for instance. So yes, there has to be something. But you're right. If it shows up on Level One's YouTube, they got the following. We're all going to click it. We're all subscribed. And then, just to make sure that everybody's happy so that it can be promoted, so that it can gain traction and people get some exposure for their brand. So felt really good. It was a treat to make. And I love like the soundtrack. We just like went for it and got to use like whatever we wanted. And that's not really usually how I roll, but I just thought, whatever, let's let Jake just like sing a little bit and show him in a cool light.
Yeah. And right now it's sitting in on YouTube at over 100,000 views.
Yeah, you think that's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that's good?
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, like, it's so hard to tell, man. Like,
dude, 100,000 views in 2022 for me is a box office success.
Word. Yeah. Okay. Like, understood. With skiing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is. Yeah, definitely due to like Jake's name and Level One mixing. but yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to tell because some things get a lot of views that are just like not that hot to me, but and then some things that are like, yeah, some of the best work, they just like have 6K or something. You're like, okay, weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But good. Box office hit, baby. Let's go.
Because I see like Phil's, I'm just like looking through YouTube right now, like Phil's Mount Hood edit from this summer as 40,000, Nuance as 35, Super View as 40. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard.
It's hard out
When
there.
you get 100, it's like,
yeah. I mean, that's, I think, what we were like reaching for. And that was probably like a goal. That was probably a goal. How about that? Like,
yeah,
Brady, you better make something good enough to get 100,000. Yeah.
100K.
Yep. So yeah, we're hyped. We were really glad. And that's also thanks to Level One and like Parker and people like that who like give Jake that love and make sure that like we're seen, you know?
Yeah, because that's you're living kind of the best of both worlds. You're getting paid as a filmer to do what you love and, you know, work on dope projects that are probably way more satisfying than product videos on a 9 to 5.
Right.
But also you're not having to do the struggle in the fall or summer to hunt for sponsors.
Yeah.
They're doing the shitty part and you're just like saying, yeah, let's get to work.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to take that much credit, but I'm definitely like working on some of that stuff too. And I'm like, I'm chatty and I'm responsive. So it's like a lot of it is Connor at Level One, going to bat for Jake and I actually, of course. And then, but yeah, we're chatty and I'm like providing images or talking about a new place we could take it and seeing who I know and that kind of thing. So they are definitely dealing with that a lot. But yeah, right now we have it's like 686 and Fat Tire and ON3P who are helping out with this, which is so damn nice. So yeah, we'll see. Jake needs a goggle sponsor, I think. But
goggle companies, that's a whole other subject, but goggle companies seems like they're kind of searching for their reason to be alive.
Yeah, and also like if they need a athlete, right?
Yeah. Like I see a lot of big brands like Salomon and Marker and Atomic making their own goggles. And then companies like we can name them. Like I see Spy dropping Phil. I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. Like if you drop Phil, like,
yeah,
you got to give me a reason to buy your product.
Yeah.
And if every goggle is the same, then give me some good branding. And if you drop one of the most respected and loved guy in the industry, then what are you even doing?
Yeah, I wonder. They must just be moto centric, you know?
What do you mean?
I think they just like probably don't need that much. They probably have accounts enough at rental shops and ski stores where they don't really care. It just like looks sexy in the case, and then the rest of it's like moto sales, like motorcycle.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Dirt biking and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because a lot of goggle sales is someone coming into the shop at the bottom of the hill and seeing the rack and being like, okay, what's the one that looks good right now?
Yeah. And who cares who B-Dog is, I guess. I'm just trying to think that's where their head's at. That's where the money is, I guess. But I hear you. I'm like, God.
But that's something that I always have a hard time with is there's a disconnect, because I guess you could always make that argument for anyone, like who cares, whoever is. But then I remember 10 years ago skiing in Quebec, and one kid out of 3, like, you know, the park was filled with Orage B-Dog jackets.
No doubt.
So saying that you don't care is like, it's kind of a lazy argument.
I know. I hear you.
In the branding of a certain product, there's way more than just like, the athlete being associated. It's like, did you do a good job of promoting it? Is it looking good? Is it like, you can't just blame it on and saying, oh, people don't care about you. Well, I think they do.
Yeah. No, I understand. And I agree. I was just throwing it out as like, maybe that's the Spy example. I have no idea. But
yeah,
I mean, I think Phil should be on like a 10-year pro model goggle contract, you know, and they should be like flying him everywhere to like make sure they have the material to brand it. So,
because there's been a lot of autonomy for riders these days, where they're kind of their own marketing brand, brand pay you and do your stuff on your Instagram and make sure you get your likes. And it seems like kind of brands have shied away from actually working hand in hand to build the marketing.
Yeah.
Not just being like, hey, post your rock star with yourself on your Instagram photo.
Totally, bro. Yeah. And yeah, I think actually like Phil and I have talked about that, where he's like, he has to like manage me. And he's like, wouldn't that be sick if like you were just like an Armada filmer and you were flown to Estonia and I was flown to Estonia, and then we shoot this like ski thing like it was back in the days for him,
Mm-hmm.
And then like he just can like walk away and the cut comes out under Armada and Phil's a pro skier again, and it keeps happening and happening and happening, right? So yeah, I think there is a little bit of like, yeah, there's just a balance to be met, because some companies like really want to see just a cell phone video that someone shoots of Phil like walking towards the skate park with a monster or with a
Mm-hmm.
and that works because it kind of creates accessibility for the viewer or whatnot. But at the same time, like there needs to be the other side of things probably, so these dudes don't have to, or these people don't have to like always manage their own media. And yeah, it's a tough one.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. The season might be coming to an end, but Access Board Shop still got everything you need. If you need to change up some ski gear, they've got a bunch of stuff on sale, and they're more than ready for the spring and summer season. Go check them out in person at their shop in Saint-Sauveur, Quebec, or check them out at accessboutique.com.
Yeah, I guess without getting into the numbers exactly, with the Jake project, you end up making a good living. Like it's worth your time for you to do it. You guys managed to get enough funding for it to be valuable for you.
Yeah. I think last year I kind of took for me, maybe I took the hit a little bit, but I also like did have a lot of freedom and probably could have like signed up for more work, but was also like pretty dedicated to like making sure that I didn't let anybody down, including Jake, So yeah, kind of took kind of invested in that last year. And then this year things are a little bit more proper, which is nice. And I also just like kind of know how to work it, like, and know how to like let Jake have space. Like that dude is hilarious with his life. He's like gonna trick this crazy spot and like we're gonna talk about it and think about it all the time, and then he needs to like press the reset button and he knows it. So then he like is outside like cleaning his boat and he's like, I'm going fishing like for 2 nights, and he'll like dip, which is probably the case today almost, where Jake is like, I need to like get in. He's like, so he can be like solo and be out in the woods with his dog or by himself, like no problem. Like I would like think to ask somebody, he's like happy to just like go fishing for 2 days and like reset, and then he's going to come back and be charged up. So like I'm like totally happy hanging in my spot right now, and I'm going to get off the phone with you and walk to the grocery store and then come back and like start editing something that's not Jake, and then that will make me also hungry and that will make me reset. And so yeah, it's just a balance there. That's what it is.
Maybe we can link back up to that earlier question. How do you plan your winters? Like, how do you come about choosing your project or planning them in advance? Because in the ski world, you can't be planning something on January 1st. You got to be a bit ahead of your time to get the funding and everything.
Yeah, man, that's tough because weather and people getting hurt and all the above, and like also just making people commit, including myself probably. But like, yeah, so I kind of aimed at working for my aim. Like, I wish I could like work for my brother at Treefort Lifestyles. Like that would be, and that's kind of like one thing that I would love to do someday, and like trying to also invest in. But yeah, I would like to work under the level 1 arm. That sounds great, which is like us making sure that Jake is taken care of and that I can get paid to make something from, ON3P and Fat Tire and 686 in this case. So that's like one. Then Armada, I've just been like part of that team forever. So I make sure that I have like a backbone there. So like I shot like a Liam Downey cut in Vermont this year. That was like one of my like tasks for them. And then I have like multiple others that will come this winter and this spring and this summer, so that I can like have that backbone. So then that's like 1, 2, and then monster. In this case, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a monster project, which it was kind of like similar to me, like taking whatever, how many hours to do like the Jossi thing last year. Oh yeah, that's kind of what it is this year. And then like hoping that we can all go to like something like Kimbo, which also like at the end of it has like an Armada team roundup, which also like goes towards where I'm heading with them. And then I'll try and do something this summer and not pile too much on like editing, as far as like keep shooting. Something has to become of it, right? So yeah, that's kind of how it worked for this year. I don't know if that helps answer the question, but yeah.
Tell me how's it going with Jake this season. Like when you go with someone like Jake who's going fishing or going to X Games or going to a bunch of different stuff, and you have your schedule as well when you have different contracts, how do you go to plan or to make a movie happen? Do you schedule like 2 weeks straight to shoot, or is it like, since you're both in Utah, do you just like call each other up saying, oh, okay, do we shoot today? Like, how do you make it happen? And how has it been going so far?
Yeah, we're just always talking about spots and snow, and I'm pretty much invested into that project. Like right now, for instance, I will, be done at March 10th, but kind of up until then, I have like some tasks beyond the Jake. Like I have some gigs like beyond the Jake thing, but they can be spread out and I can like chip away at them. So pretty much, I'm just on the Jake tip for the next month, and he's understanding if I want to take a day off because I got to take care of some stuff. And I'm also super understanding if he needs to do a little reset as well. We did have a pretty good schedule. Some of it based around, like a Baker trip to Washington, and some of it based around when we have to be in Utah. Like my gal is going to come to Utah for a couple weeks. So we're going to like try and stay here and save some spots to like check off. And he'll probably leave for a few nights during that time as well, to go like ice fishing with his buddies or something like that. So yeah, pretty much on a Jake tip these days. And that is just about like in like a couple hours, I'll probably talk to him. He's probably going to tell me like, we just got back from that, like the Aspen adventure, which was just like me tagging along pretty much and going to see friends. And I shot like a cut that might go online sometime by at least one of his sponsors.
So there's there won't be any knuckle huck shots in the movie.
Yeah, we kind of just decided that. We were kind of like, people saw it probably, and it will probably show up regardless. It's already like showing up obviously online. So it's kind of like, let's keep it spicy and surprising for people so they can't really anticipate this like crowd, chanting with Jake, classic like competition vibe when it's a knuckle huck. I don't know. But yeah, Jake like hit the knuckle 5 times and landed and did like fly stuff. So hype for him.
You were a skier doing urban and all that stuff with 4x9. You did a lot of back in the days, it was more like going with the whole crew hitting spots. And it seems to me like with Phil, with Real Ski, and with Jake, there's a lot of solo spots. As a filmer, when you only have one skier, you kind of have the whole responsibility of keeping him stoked and like being the guy to talk to, versus when there's a bunch of skiers, there's the group of friends and they're all talking together and seeing if there's changes to be made. Whereas when you're alone, not only you need to get the shot and make it look good, but it's like, you got this, bro, kind of keeping the skier happy.
Yeah, luckily I have been able to work with friends, so it's kind of just like in us to speak like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is that dynamic that's definitely strong. And I don't know, like maybe some people thrive off of it. I think Phil probably did. Maybe he was like allowed to focus versus like, but I don't know. We were hanging with like Emile, like Bergeron, and he's like the nicest fucking dude. So it's like,
You can't be mad if he's around you. He's like,
no.
Yeah.
And actually, Phil and I are pretty intense dudes. So like, always during those days, say, for example, Emil was just like such a perfect like friend and medium in between, like to have. So he would like lighten it up, but he's also like down to like talk shop with Phil. So they just like get to go and talk
Well-
about the size of the lip and stuff. And I'm like, the Quebec quack is so strong, man. I cannot understand you.
what's the vibe when you're filming with them and they start going full Quebec mode?
Yeah, man, it's so deep. I don't know. I can't get them, but I'm just looking for context clues the whole time, and like kind of also like when to interrupt and when to just like let it fly and just keep it rolling. So I don't know. Yeah, I just like I wish I could speak French, but I learned a bunch and learned more from them, and it's fun. But yeah, it's great to be in Quebec and to like try and practice and whatnot.
You said something interesting. You said Phil and you are intense.
Yeah.
When you say Phil is intense, I feel you 100%. You know he's dedicated, and you've put a lot of cool behind the scenes shots in Nuance and En Particulier where you see him like throwing a fit. Talking to you, you seem pretty laid back. Like, what's the Brady intense? Like, what's your way of being when you're filming in the streets?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm just like a strong personality, and maybe like even like maybe chatty, and maybe like my encouragement is my like encouraging like words are like could be taken as like, dude, you need to shut up or something like that. Which isn't even to like point at Phil. It's just like in general, that's like how I am. And like, it's like we laugh about it. People like, I probably laugh about it with Phil and Jake and other people, but, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I got a lot to say. Some of it could be misconstrued easily because there's like a lot going on, and maybe it's like a really intense situation and I don't really am not understanding it as one. And it's like, they're about to like jump off the roof and I'm like, asking about this over here that's totally like distracting or something. But yeah, I don't know. I also like want to make sure I'm doing a good job, so maybe that's where the intensity lies as well.
Yeah, I feel you where you're a filmer, so there's that whole part of the job that you're looking at, but you're also a skier and you've been doing the same stuff, so you also, not to go in their lane, but you know you have an opinion on what they're doing.
Yeah, and that
might be the setup, might be the trick, might be how they're doing.
Right. And maybe that is a little bit like, but I think I quickly can like break it down to make people comfortable so it's not like this, because I don't really take that in like an ego too much, because like I get to work with like these crazy talents, like, so I don't really think that, I think that they understand right away, like, okay, he doesn't mean he's coming from this place where he like knows best.
Yeah.
But
it's more in terms of trying to help out the guy rather than like imposing something.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Yeah, I think I do take a lot of pride though in like helping aid that situation, and maybe looking at it like, hey man, you don't get to see it from over here. Like, you've just done this 7 times in a row. Go back to what you just did where you started. And they're like, okay, that's helpful. Sometimes it might be like, shut up, bro. Like, but also like in general, also we can just like roll to a spot and I can say, dude, what if you do this? And honestly with Phil, we're just like cut from similar cloth with that, where he's like literally about to tell me what he's going to try at the spot and how we're going to build it. And I just say it. And then he goes, I was going to tell you that same thing, dude, And then we both are like proud about like thinking like coming off original, and then we're like, oh, we're not original. Like, we just both thought the same thing here. So
you're just on the same page. So that's just the best scenario.
Right. There's some good chemistry there. Yeah. Like, there's a cut of Phil. Oh, where was it, man? Probably towards like Treblant or something. He's like flies under the rail into like this embankment. He does like 180 in one of the reel skis under this railing. Yeah, he just like comes in. We have a little bank turn. It's like a tall, like sanctuary kind of trick.
Yeah, and he goes under the rail.
This hip, yeah. Like I remember like that moment. I was like, dude, you could fly under that rail sideways and try and land switch down the bank. And he's like, don't even talk to me, dude. I just thought the same thing. And then like we just go get clipped up. I remember that was like a nice, amazing day and a really cool clip. Yeah.
There's been a lot of evolution in ski filmmaking, like from the early 2000s to at some point it seemed like everyone had a crane, and after a crane everyone had a glide cam, or same thing for street skiing. At some point it was the closeout trend. Everyone wanted to hit a closeout and do a 6-out. You kind of brought a fresh flavor with again, I go back to Phil's Real Ski, but it's more than that. But with Phil's Real Ski, you brought a flavor and a way of approaching urban features that was really out of the box. You brought in an aspect, because in skiing, you think a lot of how can I make the trick look good, considering the feature, considering the trick they're doing. But it seems to me that you brought in a cinematographic element on top of that. That you choose an angle that makes the skiing look good, but that also has a cinematic feel to it. One I think in mind is in one of Phil's Real Ski. It's a down rail in showy. He does a lip to one, to hand drag, to switch. And you come in the in run. There's the start of the rail that we see all the way through and that stays in the shot. And that's just some types of shots that, one, they look super good. There's two parts of that. It's super artistic. It's a way of filming that no one really did, or, it really stood out to me. And then also when I see the behind the scenes, you don't have any gimbals or glide cam. You're all in, like holding it in your hands. I guess I'll simplify it. Where does your filming inspiration come from? Like, where did you get that style or that way of approaching urban filming?
Well, there's like this run and gun aspect where I'm like trying to always be available and be like involved with this rhythm. So if say Phil is ready or somebody's ready, then it's like, let's do this like right now kind of thing, and let that repetition build so that people can get momentum. There's probably an aspect to like creating some sort of like closure to a clip, to a trick. And at the same time, like really like honing in on what sort of like feature and architecture and everything that's going on to like lend it to the trick and lend it to the closure of the trick so that we can like get to the next place. So yeah. And then, so with like the run and gun life, it's like, I kind of, we have all these like DSLRs. They do a great job already. There's something like kind of grimy about it kind of being handheld, even though like a lot of that time I'm like have like just a camera strap around my neck. And you can like definitely do some like cinematic looks with just that, you know what I mean? Like with just a handheld piece. And then you can kind of get a little bit of extra stability from a camera strap. And then you can also have crazy range. So I can like point the camera everywhere really quick, and make some like really like loose decisions. But after it's been done so many times that in that moment, in that day, then those like loose decisions become less terrifying. And by the time, say, Phil gets that clip or that trick finished, hopefully I'm in a good place where I've done it also enough to make something stand out and show him in a nice light. So yeah, that was probably me like skating in 80, 100 times to that rail. And I built like the day before I built like my own drop-in ramp, and I just skied with Emil and Phil so many times that day that it was like, okay, let's hold our breath and both of us try and like get this right now. And then that was such a nice day. I remember it was like so sunny and it was in Shawi, so it was just like drive right over to this like classic spot, and they both got super good clips. It was really fun. That's cool that you remember that one.
Yeah, I gotta say, I did a shot this year, and I might have plagiarized that.
Okay, love it. Hell yeah.
A rail that
changed. That whole spot changed, no?
Oh, but not that spot. I'm just saying that way of filming that you did.
Cool. Was it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also part of it too. I'm like still got that juice where I'm like kind of trying to be active still and get a little bit, back into this like skier mindset. So for me, I'm kind of there doing a little bit of like a trick,
Yeah, I feel
like
you.
it's nice to keep moving. Like I didn't grow up like standing behind a tripod
Yeah.
that much. So like, I'm like definitely hungry to like move a little bit. Last year I didn't move that much and I still got mine as far as like expressing some creativity, but I did a moving shot with Mageau recently that felt so good, and it was like kind of renewing this like Phil life, because we did I had all the ski boots on a lot with Phil, and I think we took some pretty big risks and we got rewarded. So
Same thing for me as a skier foremost.
right.
I did a couple spots in a row recently that were tripods, just because the feature that
Yeah.
it was a tripod thing. And then yesterday I went back to like skating the whole day with my skis and the glide cam, and just getting that energy. Like, as you said, it feels like you're also part of doing the trick when it's. I built my, like you said, I built my own drop in yesterday. You have to get your timing. You're getting tired. Also, you feel like you're not just a lazy boy in the background with his tripod. You're actually like part of the team.
Seriously. Yeah. There's definitely some like chemistry there. And I think, when people are getting followed through the park, say, and there's a camera on them, it's like time to show off. That's like what it is. So like Phil and I would always talk about that. I'm like, at this moment in this clip that we're about to get, you're going to be like showing off the most right here. And I'm going to be right here. And he's like, I feel you when you're coming at me. And that is hopefully making him like get amped up to like show off and shine, So, yeah. And there is something also like, I've tried to like really let some static clips sing in some of these like cuts that you've mentioned, say like in Nuance or something, like just like it's okay to use the tripod. And I need to like, I'm probably going to be doing more of that and really like creating that contrast between the two, and maybe get more rowdy on one side and then cleaner on maybe like a more of a static angle, or something that like shows architecture that's not so like cluttered with my like moving, uh, obsessive like ways,
Yeah, I think that's been two of my biggest inspirations recently in ski filming is you with just your approach to features, where you show them in a different light or with different movements that we're not used to. And then with I think it was Payban, anyways, the guys at the bunch, where I think it was in Is There Time for Matching Socks, where there was a lot of static shots, but that they let breathe. And that was just really different from previous ski stuff, where get a good composition, get a nice shot, and let us enjoy. Like, we don't need to have like an hectic thing going on. We can just like let it chill for 5-6 seconds, and
Yes.
it feels good.
Yeah, I got to shout out Paben and Gustav and Janilla. Those dudes are amazing. They've been amazing forever, since they were like so young, and now they're just like just taking off. I love what they do. They're big inspirations for me. And then it, like, obviously I can just shout out all the heavyweights that are like older than me, but like those dudes had just put in the work. Like they've been killing it. Like amazing.
There's so much filmers in skiing that are ex-pro skiers or just filmers that are part of your generation. Like when we think of Michael Clark, might be a bit older, but Michael Clark and the Stepped guys, and you probably know a lot of them, friends with a lot of them. Were there an inspiration to you when you were in the switch between skier and filmer, of like seeing that there was a possibility of making a career, and like, because the Stepped boys blew up like a couple years before, maybe like let's say 2014, 15. Was there something seeing like the success they were having and feeding off of that?
Yeah, inevitably. I definitely, it probably goes like way deeper than I even know, but that was just definitely a part of it all. At the same time, like I don't really know exactly if I'm going to be like at the level of, say, Nick and Alex and Cam, and Charlie and Clayton. Like,
There's not many people on that level in the world. Like,
in the world, yeah. So I would like to like, I'm going to try and like make my moves. I'm sitting in my pocket. I feel pretty good. and yeah, I'm not going to be 40 in Minnesota shooting like a 15-year-old on a handrail. Like that's not the life. Like I have my like little roster that I want to work with. If it works, then it works. If not, I'm going to like make it ends meet another way. You know what I mean? So, if I can stay lucky, then I'm going to keep having a footprint here. But, those dudes are definitely a big influence. And I've like, they've also been really supportive. Like, mostly like, say Nick has been really supportive over the years of like me trying to get a little footprint beyond skiing or whatnot. So yeah, big ups to all of them. And yes, like Mike Clark for sure, Will DeSena for sure, Ian Durkin. He's been someone I've looked up to. People I don't know for sure, but I know of. You know, mm-hmm. So and that had a great footprint and did some cool stuff in skiing and went beyond because why wouldn't you?
We've talked a lot about the filming side of things that you do, but you work on different roles in different video projects. I'm thinking you did a couple projects in a row with Tanner Hall, where I think you were only working on the editing side. Is that it?
Yeah. I shot like an intro or 2 or 3. Yeah. I just did the latest one. He's like laying on the green grass out behind my house. And I set up that clip and we did that little intro. And then I did like a soccer intro by a lake. And then maybe like a smoky shirt off intro in like a light living room sort of scenario. That one I shot too. So I kind of just did like 3 intros. Corey Stanton like headed up the post on that stuff. He's been a big part of my whole, I guess, career and super supportive. And yeah, he's been amazing. So yeah, he's been heading up a bunch of that stuff. And then yeah, he put me on to Deviate, and then this last year, Good Luck, which was like Jossi and Torin. So yeah, I'm just like kind of seeing where my time lies in the summer, and it's great to be involved with like those big ski projects still, even if I'm not shooting them. And I think like I just have like a role there that lets me kind of like just change the path of where it started as a pitch and where it can end up as a final product, and not change the path, but add to the path, you know? So yeah, that's been fun. And whether that's cutting up transitions or a move or like the providing music somehow or whatever that is, yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, because we were talking about Jake's Freehand being a success. Those couple years in a row of Tanner projects, Hereafter has 130,000 views. In the meantime, has 330,000 views.
Yeah, that's a spooky intro, I think. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's those were a lot of big successes. How do you enjoy, or how does it work for you, or how do you feel when you work only on like the post production side of things versus like with Jake, you're from beginning to end. You work on the pitch to sponsors until delivery, so you have like the whole vision is yours. Versus then he filmed with his filmers. There's Corey Stanton involved. There's other people involved, and then you have to add your touch in there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely way tougher for me to feel like happy about it all. But I think you just have to like realize your value or what you can add to it, and be like comfortable being like, okay, I can't like actually like make this what it could have been, even though like all the material is there and it's like great. So you just have to be comfortable like with like how much you invest and knowing like what role you're in and what you're expected to do. So I don't know. I like I get to just like tinker kind of and put in my like set amount of time kind of throughout like a month period, say. That's like kind of nice for me. It's like have one thing that during that month that has to get done in like 4 days, but I also have this thing that can take 30 days to like pass back the project file or whatever it is. And then like also just be like a part of like the whole process. So that's just like in feedback and notes, and like being like responsive, and also being like providing like here's where the cut is today, and then please give feedback in 3 days type life.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they give feedback, I can plug it all back in, change up those things they said, and also add a few more of my own little like touches, and then right away export again. And then they're like, okay, it's changing. And then we feel some sort of like momentum. And then hopefully like that like will lead to us giving, say, Tanner a cut, and then Tanner can like say, I hate these 4 time codes, and we're going to be like perfect. And then before you know it, the package is like kind of getting cleared up, and then somebody can like polish it, whether that's me or Corey or whoever. And then it kind of just gets like sent off, I guess. And then we wait for a release and hopefully celebrate a good review. So I don't know. Yeah. It's tough, but I definitely love shooting and cutting my material. That's really nice. And also like if I was going to like direct something and someone else would shoot it and then I could like cut it, that's also really, really, really fun, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that just goes along with like me being like probably a skier too, where it's like I really want this like culture to have like a real big focus on this like creativity in skiing and innovation and stuff. So like I have to like do my best so that like this all moves forward, and I just feel like there's some sort of responsibility there, you know?
There was a point where skiers were kicked out of snow parks as if we didn't have a place there, you know, kind of had to build our respect in the culture. And it seems like now we have our own identity, our own visual identity. Like you see ski filmmaking and it's its own thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, especially in the street stuff there. I would say that's like pretty fair. It probably gets a little more similar with POW, with backcountry. Mm-hmm. I would say, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I've never been the biggest fan, just on a personal taste, but yeah, to me, it seems way harder to me to get creative filming wise in the backcountry. Like I give major props to people who manage to do it, because
yeah,
like I saw clips of Etienne with Alex Hall last season, and he was following him in the backcountry skiing with his GoPro on his stick and like trying to do something creative, and I give him props for that, because it seems like the natural choice is just like, okay, I'll stick my tripod somewhere and trying to get it, because there's too many constraints to make something, totally. You know?
Yeah, you really got to anticipate like what's going to make you like have the strength to do it. Like, and yeah, big props to Etienne and Sean Logan, super creative. The CK9 dudes for like the Sammy projects we've seen, that stuff has been like amazing. Definitely like risky and a lot of work and a lot of like professionalism with that stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying spicing my take on that when we get some snow.
Yeah, because as you said, it's a lot of risk and reward. And for street, wherein I build my drop in to do a follow or you do, there's no risk. Like we're good skiers, and all we have to do is do our 4 feet drop in and follow. Like it's easy. But when they're doing follows in the backcountry, like that's not easy skiing. Like getting the good shot while also skiing down the POW line in BC or wherever. That's like a thing that I'd be anxious on my end of being like, I don't want to mess up that shot.
Totally.
Like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
It is if you get it, but if you don't, you look like a clown.
Yeah, you feel a little like greedy, but you're also like, gotta play ball. Yeah, I don't know. That stuff is really hard. I'm not like super snow science oriented. I don't really have all that knowledge, so I like try and stay pretty clear of like the big heavy zones, unless I'm like with a team where I can get like the okay. So yeah, I'm excited though. We're trying to look for snow right now, so we're gonna experience some of that. Jake and I are here soon, hopefully, and get him more in the air.
Yeah, because you've done your fair share of BC jumps and all that stuff in your past life. What's your guys' vibe? Because in Utah, it seems like you drive 20 minutes and you can get to a zone. Like it's not as if you had to go to Alaska or something. What's your plan, urban-wise, POW-wise? Do you have some ideas in mind of maybe booters, or like what's your without spoiling, what's your vision of what you want to create with Jake?
probably just like pick up on where we left off last year and include maybe more airtime and more snow, and not shy away from street, even though like Jake is from Bend, Oregon, where there's like good snow and stuff. He can just shine in all aspects. So yeah, we just left out a few things last year probably. So we're gonna like kind of hone in on those and maybe just like stick to that. So yeah, we've been filming mostly street so far, but that will change in the coming month, which will be great. So just gonna try and like show him as like well rounded as possible, you know.
Are you stoked on what you've been getting? Like, is there some bangers in the oven?
Yeah, I love it. I'm just like a fan anyways though. But yeah, in general, I think we showed a friend or two recently and they were really amped up. So I feel damn good. Just got to get out there again. You know, he's amazing. So once we get to a spot that he likes, it's like pretty much going to be on, you know.
It seemed to me as if he was trying to go as big as possible for X Games, trying to win the gold at the money booter, and that he kind of went a bit more mellow last year, trying to go for a different vibe. Maybe not more creative because he's always creative, but just, yeah, I'll say creative. Just different kinds of setup that are not oriented into like impressing judges, you know, trying to be flavorful. Is there the same vibe this year, or it's I felt like there was really a clash between his gold medal real ski and freehand. It's like two different worlds of street skiing that are both enjoyable and both like, there's not one worse than the other, but it was like two different things.
Yeah, I think he was probably a little beat up on like some of the Hail Marys you have to take in those real ski days, and then like being on the road and all that kind of stuff. We like stuck to our zone here, and we kind of, I think he just like also like wanted to enjoy it, and it kind of like takes a little bit of the pressure off him and me to like make something. So it's kind of like, okay, again, reset, Jake. You don't have to jump off the roof. I keep saying that, but it's like just a way to say like, you know, go for the Hail Mary touchdown or whatever. And yeah, just like you can go home and sleep in your bed and you can like breathe and we can go enjoy this. And I think he got to like one of our like favorite clips. It wasn't filmed that well, but like he does a 360 onto a roof and then he does like a cork 5 stale off the roof, like right after. That's just like him enjoying himself in the sun.
But that was one of my favorite shots. And
me too.
I get what you're saying. And that's a big thing as an athlete, is that the Hail Marys, as you're saying, they're the riskier shots and the harder ones, will get you the X Games gold because the judges know like that's what they want to see. But for the personal enjoyment of people or for the views or the sponsors, it's not necessarily the Hail Marys that shine the most. Sometimes there's shots that'll be super risky, super hard. You'll have a battle and they're not necessarily the one that'll shine.
Totally. Yep. Well said. So yeah, I think just a balance last year, and then we'll just like, now we have this chapter done. We know each other better. We know what we're capable of. Now we can like kind of pick up the pieces this year. And yeah, who knows? It could be longer. It could be even shorter with like just more signature looks. But yeah, maybe it'll be like less of Jake climbing up a tree, grabbing nose and coming down the tree, which I love that clip, but we did it. And maybe this year we won't have that clip in, that kind of clip, you know? Which I like love all the fillers in all of Jake's cuts. Like everything he's put out, all like the filler stuff is still like, good luck trying to do that and look as good as Jake. You know?
Mm-hmm. I think there's something to be said about fillers.
What do you got?
A lot of people, it seems when you hear about fillers, it's hate.
Oh, right.
Like,
yeah.
I think that's something that makes me enjoy it, seeing a lot of things around it to accompany the bangers and not just have the, shots after shots after shots. That's where it kind of might be too hard to say boring, but it spices it up to have all those fillers around it. That's what brings it to life in my mind.
Yeah, especially if you have the patience to to watch through it all. I think that's like,
Well, without like bringing it to 30 minutes, but just like, you know.
Yeah. I'm glad you think that. It's definitely tough with like our lack of like attention these days and how quick we want to like subscribe or pay attention or whatever it is, and how quick that's going to like leave your fingertips or your computer screen or whatnot. So yeah, it's tough. Like we were talking about Nuance, and Nuance was probably some of like my best work, but definitely like tough for people to watch. It's definitely hitting like the core group, and those people seem to like it. So that's like great. And hopefully that's like the consumer also, so that like Phil can continue and I can continue. But yeah, that's like didn't get like the love,
Really? I thought it did.
I mean, I think Phil and I at least just have like laughed about, wow, like that has no views, or like, after like a year we were like, what? It still doesn't have that many views. But yeah,
But that's hard.
That's all. Just in that case, yeah. We aren't like beat up about it. We were just like laughing, like, wow, that was our favorite, and it was also like reused footage ish. And
but yeah, I think Nuance is my favorite piece you did.
Cool.
En Particulier was great in its own right, and I enjoyed it. But Nuance was like, it's something that I find myself rewatching every now and then.
Cool, good.
It's the perfect blend of, it's, how long is it? It's 10 minutes. It's short. You get a lot of great behind the scenes shot. I'm looking right now, like a shot Phil doing a lip to onto a down rail, and you just see a Hydro-Quebec worker. It seems like a worker, seeing him do his lip to with the biggest smile, like, holy shit, what is that guy doing? There's so much nice cinematography that you take the time to show us, because what I've seen from movies and from the videos I've done in the past is a lot of time you have that golden footage of like behind the scenes and nice stuff, and you just never show it because it doesn't fit in the classic ski segment where you show the trick, you show an in-run, you show a bail, or you show him hiking, and that's it. And you roll through that, and after 3 minutes, it's done.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you gave me a lot of inspiration. It's like, no, it's take the time and show all those, I don't know, Phil being thoughtful, or some architecture and all that stuff. And I think that's maybe I'm getting older and I'm getting to enjoy different stuff. But tell me about that getting that movie together, because that was really a direction vibe that I had never seen before in skiing.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta just be straight up like thankful to Phil for like letting me have like some freedom there, and that was just amazing to like shoot the 90-second cut down and then be like, there is like all this extra that I really, really like. And I think people would appreciate seeing you in that light. So we definitely got the best of both worlds there. And then, yeah, that was like working on like trying to show these different Phil personalities, in the 10 minutes. So kind of like 5 songs maybe. And then I found that J Electronica Bullets, short film that was amazing, and I was like, it's like Frenchy, and she's like talking about like some stuff that's kind of congruent with maybe some of Phil's personality, and then these songs are just like so contrasty, and they speak to us so much. And so yeah, from that like Sanctuary like intro into the super hip hop, that's just like us, that's what the car ride sounds like there, like banging ass hip hop, and then some like real like spiritual type life. So yeah, and then we get to like go into some like goofy stuff, and then some dream stuff, and then some like scary stuff kind of, and then we get to also fulfill like the ski movie need of like this banger at the end that's like kind of makes everybody happy, like from a 13-year-old to like someone like my mom. They're like happy to hear that hip hop song that's like pretty easy on the ears, and then it's like kind of like this epic Phil, big moment at the end. So yeah,
I think that's one of the best things in ski videos, when you get the song or the soundtrack that fits with the skier and his skiing. And I think, as you said, with the spiritual thing, that's Phil, like the banging hip hop, but also the more melodic, like almost ambient sounds.
Yeah. I think that was such a treat. I wonder what we're going to do next as far as all that goes, like where we can show him in a new light or tribute something or whatever it's going to be. But yeah, I love that, making that piece, and like, again, just like Phil being supportive and also like letting me like take the reins and being responsible for his like persona, I guess, it's like definitely a treat. Feel grateful for all that.
En Particulier was way longer, but I also found it super dope because it's like two different worlds where Nuance is really kind of telling a story and there's a bit of narration, but it's not related to the skiing. Whereas in En Particulier, you really hear people talking. You really see a lot of raw shots, if we can say, like where there's no music. You just see the guys living through the experience.
Totally. Yeah, that was also just like trying to see the best of both worlds, and it's so fun to like do something up and shape something. And then also those ones, the En Particulier stuff is just like so fun to like look back on and cut up and stuff. And people like don't get to see that too much of him. And then we got to see him in X, and then, wow, like that was probably, my friends were like, that's so nice to see. Like that's really helpful to understand like how this guy is and what it takes and how it feels to like maybe like not treat every clip or whatnot. And yeah, and to hear him talk and people interact, like we got so lucky with Gems that year. You know what I mean? Like it's like that guy talking about like when I ski without poles type stuff. It's just like, no way. Like, did he really say that to me? And I like got in these people's worlds a little bit, and they like let the camera roll, and we got lucky. So I think it was all like pointing to something a little more raw and like documentary stuff. And then it was fun to like, you can still like feel the Phil Casabon like music video ish stuff where like cue song, boom. And now it's like, it's on, he's about to get it. And then song cuts, like nasty cuts. Like he lands the trick and it's like nothing ever happened. Let's go to the next spot and you're going to start crashing. It's like, whoa, that's how it is,
Props to you because you managed to get a lot of gems, as you said, of encounters and Phil talking, being maybe a bit frustrated and stuff like that are easy to miss.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of times, maybe tell me how it is on your end, but on my end where sometimes you have more serious talks and you're not filming because you're into it with the guy and you don't think of capturing it. Or like if you have an encounter with someone, you're just busy talking with him and then you're like, oh fuck, I should have filmed that.
Yeah. And I think like I got pretty hyped on what En Particulier came to be. And then the next year I had to like really like dismantle all that stuff and be like, all right, it's never going to be the same. Like it doesn't work the same year in and year out. It's just like, this is going to be a new year. I already like missed that clip, but I got this one. So where are we heading? You know what I mean? Like, and like, even like just overall, the encounters didn't happen for the next year. Like they did not happen. Like it was wild. I was like, wow, that really worked out last year for that. And I'm glad we like kind of used them and shown them. We got to show them, but like this year is not going to be that. But instead that year we have Emil's finger going around with this ice screw. And then I get to like make something of that. And that kind of creates some suspense and put the wine glass sound to it. And it's like, okay, we got that instead. So this is the kind of film we're making, I guess, kind of just letting stuff speak to you. Sorry. That's like pretty much like what has to happen with some of this stuff. Some things can be planned and conceptualized, but then also things have to really, just got to let them speak to you. So go.
It's as if you're making me think of a shot in the beginning of the Belmar movie I did. There's just a zoomed in shot of his face after a spot, and it lasts for like maybe, I let it sit for like 6-7 seconds, and it's just him like super with a shallow depth of field. You just see his face and like everything's blurred out in the background, and that's just I remember that spot trying to get cinematic, do shots like he got his trick, and then okay, hit and run, hiking, let's do something, and then I saw it was kind of sunset and the light was on him, and I was like, okay, just don't move there. And he was kind of tired of me telling him to do a bunch of shots, and he was just kind of looking at me.
Yep.
And I remember going back into the editing in the spring and being like, oh shit, I like that shot. I like as you said, you know it when a shot speaks to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just like hopefully can trigger something. maybe 20 seconds later, or maybe for the whole movie or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I remember that.
I think when I was editing it, I was thinking of En Particulier a lot, of not letting any shots go to waste. And we did a 8 kink in aluminum. That's like, I don't know why we did that. That was stupid. And it was not a good day, and Alex was super pissed. He was not getting his shots, and I ended up using a lot of his bails and his frustrations.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't have used in the past, because it was like, why do that? But then I was like, it feeds everything. It can serve a purpose to everything else, and I think that's a big inspiration from you, from using every footage you have to show the bigger story than just did he get the trick or not.
Yeah. Thanks, man. For real. Good stuff.
Yeah, we've talked about a bunch of projects with Jake where you spend your whole season, with Phil for X Games where it's not a whole season, but it's a damn long time where you have a lot of footage. How is it going on to Ensemble? Maybe the whole filming process, but also Phil tore his knee and you still had to produce something with a very limited amount of footage. Maybe tell me how that experience went. Of, a lot of times you film a whole segment, so you have more than enough. You do what you got to do in the post-production side of things, and on that side it was a rare occasion of like, oh shit, what do we do with the limited amount of footage that we have?
Yeah. I mean, that was difficult, but also it doesn't really come the whole way down to just like me being like, this is what we're going to do. It really comes down to like Phil being like, what are we going to do with what we have? And that means he's going to think, and he did think, do we save it? Do we start shooting next year? Does he just save it for something? And then like, we just like thought of all the different aspects and routes to take. And then it ended up being like, I was like super eager to have it, to like make something of it. He was hesitant. And then like after some like days of like digesting like what we had done, what's going to happen, where's the, how does the knee get repaired? What's the next turn for him? Where is he going to go skiing next? All that stuff gets like kind of sussed out. And then luckily, and like, all praises to him for like letting me take that one on. And then, yeah, making like something out of these action shots that was like short and sweet and still like up our alley, and cool song, and like some showy looks that I love. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, it was unfortunate though, obviously, like felt for Phil, like hurting himself, and yeah, also just like the territory, and yeah, just tough to see your friend get hurt. Try and like give space and give him like the attention, and also, yeah, all the above. So really hyped that was it, that I was able to like make that, because honestly it could have just been that's it, and Phil has the clips, and he could have never put them out, even like, even though I love those clips, like he can just, I'm under his arm and he can do whatever he wants with them, and
Yeah.
trust me to make something nice, then I'm going to try hard. And that's what I did. And some people really liked it. So yeah, I should watch that soon. That's a fun one.
We talked a bit about showing behind the scenes or showing the surroundings. Was there a thought of you guys showing in the bail where he tore his knee?
Yeah, that was definitely in the works. That was definitely like part of everything like chatted about. But yeah, and then even recently, it did kind of get shown recently. His Tyrolia cut. Sorry, I'm pulling up Ensemble just to like recall how some of this was. But yeah, that was like shown recently, and
in his Tyrolia cut?
I think it was like at least talked about. Maybe it wasn't shown. I think I cut a Tyrolia thing that they didn't use, and it was shown. And it was shown. That's actually what it was. And then in his Tyrolia cut, he just talks about how
he talks about the transfer rail.
The transfer rail, yeah, not the rail where he hurt himself, which makes sense. My obsession type stuff. Yeah, and like him being obsessed with like getting a rail in town and doing this like crazy, incredible transfer, and and overcoming it, obviously, right? So yeah, that was great. And then yeah, that clip will probably be never shown unless, you know, there's like the Phil Casabon doc full length. Then it's probably going to show up, I would hope. We'll see what happens there. I mean, Phil is going to need that. I mean, he deserves that, and everybody deserves to see that, you know. So maybe that's where it would show up. And
Like a Lion, B-Dog version.
word up, exactly. Yeah, Like a Lion was really well done for sure.
On a level that few ski movies have managed to.
Yeah, I think that goes like, yeah, it's overlooked, and I think that there was a lot of talented people involved with that one, and yeah, Tanner's still on a tear, so maybe there will be something more, but we did get to see that whole Tanner Hall ride up until then really well depicted, so that was good. Yeah.
The interviews, the filming, the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It was like top notch.
Yeah, tip top for real. Yeah, such a good one. I'll have to rewatch that one. Definitely. I've watched it a bunch, but I'll probably like watch it with my lady. Like she probably would be like tripping out to see like, okay, that's where Tanner's coming from.
Yeah,
you know?
having an outsider perspective on it.
Yeah, it'll be fun to share that with her.
Yeah, I always like watching stuff with my girlfriend who's a skier, but you know, not into free skiing, and seeing her, what's her take or what she gets out of it.
Yeah,
and a lot of time it's not what we like see. We see details, and sometimes it's totally different experience.
Yeah, I think my wife Ida, she has like lent a lot over the past 5 years to my eye probably, and like she's like super supportive, so but she also is like pretty critical, and not like it's always like, Ida, come watch this, but I like definitely show things to her a lot that I'm making, and we also just like watch a bunch of things together, so it is helping to have that partner, that teammate that like can look at it differently, and I can just like soak up her reactions. Yeah, you know what it is.
You trust her opinion, but also you trust that she's gonna tell you straight up what's up.
Yeah, it's funny with her anyways. It's just like, come in here, come watch this, come in here, and she's like, it looks the same, bro. Like, don't even call me in here anymore. Talk to me in a week, you know? Like, yeah. So yeah, there's that aspect for sure. And I'm like, it's so different from yesterday. Like I switched everything, and she's like, it doesn't seem any different. Like, do something more, you know? So
I have a lot of that with my girlfriend where I'm like, oh, I don't like that shot. Which one do you like best? I think this one's shaky. And she's like, I don't know what you're seeing, but it's not shaky. Or like, you know, some details that you're too into your shots and you know what happened. And she's like, it's all good.
Yep. And you're like, cool, I'll let it roll. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So it's quality control. Do you ever work on editing cuts during the winter, or you wait for it to be over?
No, I'm pretty hands-on right away. I like to...
Oh yeah, you start working on it right away?
Everything you've mentioned. Probably en particulier. Yeah, everything you've mentioned. I touch everything like right away. Yep. I try to. Yeah, I think I like to use the enthusiasm to get somewhere right away. And then also like, yeah, I was just like talking to Foster Meeks about it. He just asked about that same thing. And I'm like, yeah, like, he's like, it seems like what you just showed me from last week, like, is kind of like heading somewhere already. I'm like, yeah, that's where we're going to pull from later. Like in the project file, it's going to come from that.
I know that's a habit that I should take. That would help me later on in the spring to get ahead, but I've never done that.
Yeah.
It's all because I always feel like, well, I can't work on something if there might be a shot that I'll get in 2 months that would go instead of that one. So like, it just feels unnatural. I'm the kind of guy, I want to have all my pieces together and then I'll start playing with the puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I just like to feel like I'm getting better at what I'm doing by seeing it treated in post a little bit. And then also like, maybe that would be encouraging for us to go somewhere again, or not again, but go somewhere next. And like see what we can do and what would like complement this big street rail with this like backcountry jump, say, or whatever. But yeah, I think I just like get ahead of my post in the summer with like touching it right away. And I also I think that's just like how I work. And maybe I would be better the other way, but that's just what I'm doing right now. And I like it. So I'm kind of like, that feels great. But I mean, I know people, right, that stuff it away until August.
Mm-hmm.
And they shot it like in November, and they're just like, don't see it until August, and they kill it. So, and it feels like refreshing, maybe, so.
Do you have already your soundtrack in mind, or you do it with another soundtrack and it might change during course?
I like, say for the last like week that I was shooting Jake, I just like changed. We've shot for 10 days or whatever. Like not every day, but like, yeah, we've been together for 10 days, been scoping things and driving around and shooting some places. And I've probably like come home, got a clip, massaged it, put it in the cut. And then when we're sitting there, I changed the song like 4 times.
Mm.
Yeah. So he's like hearing himself and seeing himself and all in a different light every time. And I'm like trying to feel out like what might bring like excitement, or this might be a lull in the movie, like something like a little more mellow or whatnot. But yeah, I definitely like changed that. We're probably going to like hone in on something soon. And then probably I'll try and stay away from it and use whatever songs I like. And then when I'm like going to tie things up, I start like really taking a month or something to like tie everything together with the chosen song that we have like permission and licensed and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, I love it, man. I'm like showing Jake to like some like crazy hip hop, and then I'm like literally putting on like a yoga sound, like just an ambient like tone. Yeah, and we just get to see it all. Like, and then we have like some like pop song. He's like, he's like put on this like, he's like listening to like a Shania Twain song in his pickup truck or something, and we just like play around with like some funny stuff too. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, let's close out with I had some questions from people on Instagram.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Will Cameron asks, what's your favorite segment and favorite movie in ski movies? Let's go one by one. Favorite segment.
Oh man. I don't know, probably like what got me was like Mikhail Deschanel and Royalty, Liam Downey in Wicked, Travis Heed in Wicked. Probably those.
That goes back. That's like
those ones,
2004.
Yeah, those ones like probably really got me. And then it was like a Rainville Hornbeck, kind of that cut. Those like dudes probably like really got me. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think Cameron, I guess, is it. But yeah, he should probably get on, like, check out Royalty and see, like, Mikhail.
Favorite movie?
Holy. Yeah, I don't know. Favorite ski movie?
I think maybe I'll tweak that question since you and I've seen a lot, because if you go back to Wicked, it's a long time. Maybe favorite movie when you were young. So that like in like pre 2010, let's say, and then one in the recent years.
That's probably answered there then. Oh, I don't even know, man. My favorite movie. There's just so many things to pull from. I don't know. I'm also just trying to like give someone like something new that they can like look into, like a Candide, like Wappin, like that was like amazing. Like something like that would be like something they maybe missed. That's like super solid. But probably like, yeah, probably like a Stepped or a Level 1, or I don't know. I also just think that like I get so much joy out of like watching like Traveling Circus and stuff too. So that makes it like so accessible and fun, and like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I should probably think about like what my favorite movie is. It's tough to say. It's mostly just like this clip or this moment or this segment type stuff. But I don't like dwindle it down and just stick to like my like top 5 like rappers like switch, and my like, and people like get to shine in different ways. But
what would you say is the one that you've watched the most?
I don't even know, bro. That's so hard to say. That is so hard to say.
Are you the type of guy that would watch like a certain movie like 100 times?
Yeah, but I probably like have been making ski stuff over the past 6, 7, whatever, where I'm like really looking at skiing a lot, and then I'm trying not to always look at what everyone else is doing, but I'm like watching the movie like and loving it. Like, dude, the Foray movie this year like blew me away. So there we go. Tell them that. Like that's the answer.
Raf Diaz, who's your favorite director in skiing and outside of skiing?
I'm like Nabil Elderkin, Paul Thomas Anderson outside of skiing, and then in skiing. Poof. I don't know, dude. I bet like a Paven, Jay Nilla, Gustav is like up there. Their product, like, man, I don't know. Like the India movie that the bunch made was so well done that like that made me like lose it. I don't know. I think everyone's like kind of tapped in though. Like Phil is a great director in skiing, you know. I don't know. That's a tough one. Who's yours?
Who's my favorite? Damn. To be honest, at the moment, I'd put you and Payben up top on my personal taste.
That's a crazy compliment. I don't know. I mean, I love like seeing like what like 1,000 Skis are doing. Like right now, I'm just like, that's great for you guys. Like good for you to like take that direction to make your own. And then like you have like, you're using all the resources and everybody's like looking amazing and therefore the skis are. So yeah.
And then last question from Raf Diaz also. What's your favorite place that you filmed? Or I don't know if that's a good way to say it, but what's the favorite place you filmed at?
I don't know. I had looked through some B&E invitational stuff from Les Arcs. That was such a treat. I would love to go back and somehow like fit in and be useful at something like that. That was like just amazing, crazy cast, and then beautiful weather, fun nights, all the above. So something like that. I've also just like been in the woods, like walking around the woods aimlessly and found a tree with like Phil, say, and just been like having the nicest day. Living back east right now, it's like so cold and brutal, and I'm actually been at peace with it and loving it. But then I like come here and like Jake's in a t-shirt walking around like in the Utah sun. It's like 33 degrees high and it's just so easy, and he's just like sweating after hitting a spot. I'm like, this is crazy how like chilling this is. Like actually today, like before we got on the call, I was like walking around. I walked 15 minutes to the grocery store and it was just like so damn easygoing and nice. So like if we were going to go shoot this afternoon, it would just be like, wow, the weather here is ridiculous. You just have to have sunscreen and water and you're like set, you know? So damn. I don't know. I really like Andorra too. I spent like a really good time there. And then probably I really, really enjoy Quebec. I try and just like really like kind of like assimilate there. And I'm like Phil's like permanent best friend. That's like what we like laugh about. Like we like laugh about it. Like during those 2 months, you cannot catch Phil Casabon without like his friend. Like nobody knows like who that is. Like it's just like there's that guy that's always with Phil. He's like permanent best friend, you know. So
BFF.
Exact. Yeah. So that shit's so funny, and I can't wait to get back up there and like kick it with some of like the people I've met through Phil and just like enjoy making something new with him. So I mean, I've really enjoyed Quebec and like just like Johnny Depp on their life.
Thanks for coming on the podcast, Brady. I feel like I could ask you a question and talk skiing with you forever, but we did a good while.
We did, for real. I'm happy to chat with you later about stuff too, man. No doubt. So
hope you have a great rest of the season, and looking forward to see what you and Phil and Jake and everything you produce, because it seems like you're a busy man.
Trying to stay busy. Yeah, no doubt. Good stuff, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Awesome.
So this is it for episode 29 with Brady Perron. I hope you enjoyed it. Big thanks again to this episode's sponsors, Access Board Shop and Planks Clothing. Peace.